White feather shoes is what I'm going to talk about today, and that is where effectively at the end of the day we have to sometimes be the bigger person and just say, I'm sorry, I could have done that better, I could have done that different, right? And it's not always easy to do that, and sometimes we don't do it at all, and then it makes things worse, doesn't it? So, you know, I think of the white feathers. I think they used it in South America, didn't they? In the war days, like you would present a white feather, didn't they? I'm pretty sure. I mean, maybe you guys know. I mean, I'm not from the States or South America. I'm from Africa. But I think white feathers have always been seen as a symbol of peace, haven't they? You think of doves, and it's the peace sign, isn't it? It's the bring the peace. And can you be that person that holds the feather and passes it to someone and goes, let's make it right? Okay, not always easy. And how do we do that? So some tips. Okay, first off, acknowledging that peace needs to be made, putting those shoes on and being courageous enough, having your Xena warriors on and being courageous enough to go over and say, look, you know, it wasn't so great. Okay, so what do? First of all, you acknowledge that that's something that needs to be done. Now, look, I want to be very clear here. Do not be accountable if you're not accountable. It's not uncommon at all, especially if you're an Enneagram number 2. Very common. And if you don't know what an Enneagram number 2 is, go and have a look on my YouTube channel, VICKI JANE channel, because that will tell you more about that. And honestly, it's the people pleasers. They are the ones. And if you are, again, if you are an ambivalent, or this is attachment styles, the people that tend to be accountable when they're not, okay, when it is not their fault, quite often are the anxious attachments style, and sometimes what would be the next one from that? I'm just trying to think if there's another one after that that might have a propensity. Those ones are the main ones that tend to do it, if I'm honest, in the combos. So you might, but now if you want to know what your attachment style is and you're not a member of the VICKI JANE Facebook group, you can get a free e-guide that I've written about the 4 different attachment styles and which one are you. You'll be able to work it out. You'll read it and you'll know which one. It's pretty clear. Really good gold stuff, because it tells you how you deal with people and how you relate to people, and also how you deal a lot with your stress. So, you know, if you are in a situation where you've got, you know, you've come into conflict or combat, you know, you've clashed with someone and you go, oh, you know, it must have been something I did, you know, which is quite often a 2 reaction. 3s can do it as well. I mean, it's not just a Enneagram 3. Again, go and have a look at the video in the VICKI JANE channel for that one. But the attachment styles e-guide you can get for free if you direct message me, by the way, in the Facebook group, the VICKI JANE Facebook group. Free to join, free e-guide, free knowledge about who you are and how you operate. Absolute gold. You want to be looking at that. And then you can go, well, actually, am I being accountable or not? So it is that, you know, hands up kind of scenario. But it's acknowledging when you need to, that you were out of line. Now, sometimes people just push our buttons, and that is just what happens. It's like, I would like to have it where you spot the game so that you're not triggered in the first place. Okay. So if you know you particularly clash with a certain type, which again you'll get an understanding of if you've done the Enneagram stuff, please go do it if you haven't, because you'll know there are numbers that you clash with. That's just part of the thing, you know. It's like it's a profiling system that tells you, oh, I always seem to clash with these type of people. Well, what's that number? There's a number in the Enneagram that you will clash with. Like I clash with there's two numbers that I particularly clash with. They either love me or hate me, you know, and I don't have to be anything other than who I am. I'm just minding my own business, baby. And I just will trigger them, you know, and now I know why, because I'm that Enneagram time, and I don't take it personally anymore. So I don't go and do white feathers with people who are in my face and they've gone off the handle for whatever reason. I do my white elephant shoes and I go, that's interesting. Have you ever thought why we always clash? Have you ever thought why people like me make you angry, or make you, or it's not, I don't make people angry, but you know, they, what's the thing that tends to, in my instance, I know that it's sometimes because I'm so secure in who I am, that can be upsetting for someone who's trying to manipulate or change my behavior. And when I say no, I'm not open to doing that, they go, well, you will, because I am, you know, the whoever it is, you know, they feel that they've got a right to tell me how to do something. And you know, if it's part of a contract or whatever, then that's obviously absolutely fine. I'm fine with that and I do it. But if it's them expecting me to do something that I don't want to do or shouldn't be doing, or it's not part of my thing, then I have absolutely no compunction to say no, I'm not actually doing that. However, if you do want somebody to do that, X, Y, and Z have those skills, and you can go and ask them. And some people don't like that. Like if they're a power number, they don't like being told no. They don't like being, and if they're an I am right number, they might go, no, I'm right, you're wrong. You see, and you've just pointed out that I've done something wrong, the wrong way, you know. So that upsets them. So that can flail them, you know. So I am conscious when I'm around those people that I present the information in a way that they don't get reactive like that anymore around me. Okay, so that's one thing. So getting clear. If you're a 2, you're a people pleaser, you're overdoing it. You're being over accountable. Don't do it. Don't go and give the white feather and say, okay, how can I be different? How can, you know, I change the way I need to be? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about how can we change this so that we have a peaceful relationship or interaction. And you know what? Sometimes part of the peace process is acknowledging that you two are different and that it's not going to work. Okay? There's peace in that. There's actually peace in saying, you're on your path, I'm on mine. I like my path and I'm happy here. You're on your path, you're happy on your path. There's no reason for us to have to cross paths. We don't need to have that kind of interaction and clash. If it causes a problem, let's just agree to disagree. You know, and there is peace in having that. And you have to kind of, that's the white elephant in the room shoes that I was talking about, was it yesterday or the day before, where it literally is where you're going, it's not working, is it? This is just, it's just, we're in a space where it's just not working. So we either find a way to resolve this, or we agree to disagree and we go our separate ways peacefully with white feathers, okay, where we be civil if we come, you know, up against each other again in some other setting, civil and pleasant and, you know, hopefully kind, but peacefully. So, you know, you can have that honest kind of conversation, can't you? So, you know, you embrace it. This is who I am. And if you were out of order, being the bigger person, going, you know, do you know what? I'm sorry about that. You know, I could have handled that better. I mean, I even did this with my kids. I can't even remember what the situation was about. And I got snippy. With my daughter. And how I presented the information was not a great way. Because I was reactive to what was happening for me in another situation. And I was worn out, I was exhausted, I was overwhelmed that day. I hadn't done all my exercise like I normally do. I was, you know, just as mothers have, you know, it's just too much, too many things to do. We've got to get rid of all that overwhelm, haven't we? Anyway, that's a different topic. Now, and I went into my daughter afterwards with my little white feather, and I said, you know what, honey, I could have handled that differently. Hey, I'm sorry that I spoke to you that way. I didn't mean to. I had Mum had a bad day. It wasn't a great day. And I kind of told her whatever had happened. Honestly, I can't even remember. It can't have been that bad because I can't even remember it. Either that or it's aging decrepitude. I'm going with number one. I'm going with it wasn't that bad. It's not because of aging decrepitude. It's because of it wasn't that bad. But, you know, I just said, look, I'm so sorry if I caused you upset. You looked like you had a bit of a reaction, and I just wanted to apologize, and I will endeavor not to do that again. And she was like, thank you, Mummy. Thank you. You know, she appreciated that. And like some folks, especially if they're a parent, would say, you know, you don't want to admit that you're wrong. That's a sign of weakness. I think it's more of a weakness not admitting that you were in the wrong, that you could have actually done it better. I think there's more weakness in that than there is in having strength to go, hands up. It was me, and I could have done it differently, and I'm offering you the peace, you know, the peace sign. Here's my feather. I just want to apologize. I'm really sorry. Now that does mean that doesn't give, you know, when you say sorry in my world, that means you don't do it again. Or if you do it again, it's like, damn it, I've done it again. You nip yourself in the bud so that you don't do it again. You've got to train yourself out of it so that the white feather doesn't just get tossed aside, because it's just going to be lame if you keep going white feather, white feather, white feather, white feather over the same thing. People are going to go, whatever, you've said that already, and look, it's changed nothing. So unless you're actually going to change it, don't do that. You know, and or if you need to get help, go get the help that you need. You know, there might be something more intense that you actually need to change in order to actually get traction so that you don't do it again. So it might be something more severe. You know, it's like, yeah, you know, a trauma that you haven't addressed, and that's why you're being the way that you are. So don't say you're going to do something if you're not going to do it. That's one of my big things. I've got a real thing about that. Okay, so when you give your white feather, mean it, change it, stay on track, adjust, make sure you don't do it again. But it's being brave. It's being brave enough to even do it. And look, here's the other thing. Even if the other side don't accept it, you've done the best that you can. You can literally put your hand on your heart and go, do you know what? I tried. I have offered you the peace sign. I have given you the white feather. I have said this. I apologize for my part in it. It's a two-way junction. Relationships are that. Relate means two-way, relating to and relating back. Okay, relating to each other. Okay, so don't go in there with the expectation that they are going to also apologize, because they may not have a white feather. They may not have white feather shoes. They may not have any intention. They may have more payoff. They've got their payoff shoes on of being right and making you wrong, that they won't come to the party and apologize. 9 times out of 10, I find that they will. And they go, do you know what? Actually, you're right. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you apologizing. And this is how I could have done it better. But don't go in there expecting them to change, because you're doing that. You're doing it so that you can make your peace with yourself. Okay? It's not about changing their behavior. It's about changing yours so that you can be a full and better person. Whether they take it on board, and whether they decide to be a bigger person and come and step up to the plate, that's up to them. And you do not go in and then go, oh, well, I can't believe you haven't apologized to me. You know, you don't do any of that. You just let it go and go, well, that's unfortunate that they've chosen not to do that. But you know what? I've done what I can. I've done what I can. Okay? I have offered the peace. Whether you take the feather or not, up to you. Whether you come to the party with a peace feather yourself, up to you. If you don't, also up to you. Your shoes, your path, your way. Okay? And you have your shoes, your path, your way. Namaste.